Hello, we're looking at stage 33 and this time about the language to, which is the future perfect tense. So, a couple of really basic, simple rules for us to learn here about the future perfect. One is that the literal translation of any future perfect verb is will have blanked. And that kind of makes sense, right? Because the will is the future part of that, and then the have is the perfect part of that, right? So will have blanked. So blanket statement, rule number one, future perfect equals will have blanked. Okay? The second thing is about how it's formed. So if you look at your example here from porto, portare, so regular first conjugation verb, and remember that the principal parts are porto, portare, portavi, portatus. And if you remember too from the perfect and the pluperfect tenses, we always form those perfects, perfect, pluperfect, and now future perfect, off of this third principal part, right? So remember, porto, portare, portavi with that V there. Now in the perfect, this was portavi, isti, it, imus, istis, erunt. And the pluperfect was portaveram, portaveras, portaverat. All right. Here in the future perfect, we're going to take ero, eris, erit, etc. And we're adding that to that third principal part. So porta wero, porta weris, porta werit. And you might recognize ero, ris, erit as the future of the verb to be. So that kind of makes sense too, right? We have the perfect principal part plus the future ending. Well, that should make future perfect. Okay. So again, two basic rules. Translates will have blanked, and then the forming of that verb, the morphology of that verb is the third principal part plus ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erint. Okay. Now, if you were looking at ero, eris, erit, and you're going, hey, that's the future of the verb to be. First of all, great job. But second of all, you need to know in this third person plural that errant is a little different than just the verb to be. So we have to remember that this little wimpy I here, not erunt, but errant, is a change. Okay, so eroris rit, erimus eritus errant. All right, so here's the other big thing that I want you to know about the future perfect is the literal translation is will have blanked, right? So I will have carried, you will have carried, he or she or it will have carried, we will have carried, you or you plural or y'all will have carried, and they will have carried. All right, so that's a literal translation. But we don't say those things very much in English, do we? I don't say when I will have gone to the store, I will buy some milk. I don't do that. Okay. I wouldn't say if I will have heard you, I will reply to you. What we say is if I go to the store, I'll buy some milk. Or if I hear what you're saying, I'll reply. So what we end up doing in English is where Latin would use a future perfect verb, in English we prefer a present tense translation. Okay? So, for instance, looking at number 1, if Epaphroditus, now conspicuo means to catch sight of, okay? So the literal translation would be if Epaphroditus will have caught sight of us, well, he'll kill you. Ugh. Okay. Now, the better translation, right, the not literal translation is if Epaphroditus sees us, catches sight of us, well, he'll kill you. So the literal translation is will have caught sight of. The better translation there, because it's in this temporal clause, this if clause, is just present tense. So the literal, if he will have caught sight of us. The better translation, if he catches sight of us. All right. So that's it. So rule number 1 translates literally will have blanked. Rule number 2, we take that third principal part and we add ero, ris, rit, And then we have a couple of little exceptions here that I want us to remember: errant in that third plural. And then there is the literal translation versus what's probably the better sounding translation. Okay? Good luck, everybody.